All right, hello and welcome to the next daily edition of Vetselite Daily Vlog. Today I'm going to talk about kind of like the benefits and the theory behind heavy sled sprinting and how that helps with acceleration capabilities and even enhancing your top end speed. And I say that with hesitation, and I'll get to that point a little later. It helps with your overall speed, but it doesn't help with top end speed sprint capabilities. So what I mean by that is, by improving your acceleration capability, you will improve your overall time, which would kind of usually be associated with getting faster in your top end speed capability. But it's important to understand that this targets, heavy sled sprinting specifically targets that acceleration portion. So, excuse me. For example, and I work a lot with, team sport athletes. So 40 yards, 40 to 50 yards, 60 maybe is like that's the farthest really end of kind of the sprint distance that I'll run. But if you're talking about, track, specific sports, top end speed capabilities are they're farther out than that. So for me, I'm using the 40 as an indicator. And what you can see pre to post, depending on the type of training you're doing with a sled intervention. If you measure, somebody's 20-yard sled time with at least 80% of their body weight pre to post, and you measure flying 10 times pre to post, if you implement as well as that, you add in a 40-yard dash. If you implement the heavy sled sprints, right? What you'll probably see, and this is at least what I saw, what you'll probably see pre to post is that, your overall 40 time will go down, right? You'll get faster, okay? But what you'll really see is that improvement in the 80% body weight on the sled. At first you might hit, let's just make up a number. You might hit 3.5 seconds. And then by the time you're done, you might be down to 3.2 seconds, right? So that's where the gain in your 40-yard dash came from. But what is possible to happen, this actually happened with myself when I did kind of like a self-experimentation, was I did something similar to that in my sled sprint, but my flying 10 didn't get any better, right? So just because your overall time goes down does not mean that your top-end speed capabilities are improving. That's like a pretty important point, and that's why this goes back to the video from yesterday. It's a monitoring program is essential, because that's how you get a determinant on what's working, what's not working, we need to focus on, and even the difference between what athletes need, because you have athletes that are more acceleration driven and some athletes that are more true top speed driven. So you could have two people who run 4 or 5 40-yard dashes, but that could be done in very different ways. Person number one could be an excellent accelerator. So, they're probably a little bit stronger, right? Things like more weight room tasks they'd probably be better at, like dead stop, like deadlifts, trap bar deadlifts, any type of Anderson squat. They could probably handle more weight, single leg. Especially when you're looking at like lunge variations, they're going to be really good accelerators, and that's where you'll see like their 40 will be dominant in that, right? Somebody who is not as strong, right? Like somebody who's not weight room strong per se, like they are probably extremely efficient with their technical capabilities when you're looking at them running in top end speed. So their flying 10 numbers are probably incredible. They're very synchronized. Their timing is good, especially with, the mechanics of upright running. And they probably have an extremely good ankle stiffness. So that's somebody who, you'll see them, be able to really excel at hurdle hops. They'll really excel probably at depth jumps for height up onto boxes, stuff like that. So that's kind of like the difference. That can be a difference you might see between athletes, and specifically to mine, two of my guys I have, Bill Lynch and Jamar Anderson. They're that example, right? Like Bill Lynch is my accelerator guy. And it comes to those weight room movements where it's dead stop. He's very, very good at those, and that translates to his acceleration capabilities. He's very good at bursting out of a start, building up that tensile strength at the beginning to, push the ground away, or, however you're going to cue and coach it up. And he's very good at staying in that forward lean positions and keeping his feet underneath the center of his body weight, like underneath his hips. Jamar, on the other hand, now he is a good accelerator, but he's not good at dead stop. So it's weird. His 10's very good, but when it comes to things where he is not already built up momentum and he can't utilize stretch shortening cycle, not very good. So like when it comes to the 40 specifically, right, and you got to get in that 3-point track stance, he doesn't excel there, right? He excels when the ball is already in his hand and he's waiting to make a decision. So for him, transition to initiation movement, you're talking about like game speed concepts, that's where he excels, right? So where he can use like the energy he's already built up, like dynamically, he is extremely good there, and he can pick up speed at the back end really, really well. Bill Lynch, on the other hand, can't. Let me not say can't. Not as good at it, right? And Jamar, not as good at the other. It's not that they can't do it. They're very high level athletes for where we're at. They can do it. But it's just like that's their weakness, right? That's the thing we're trying to target. So sled sprinting, like when you're looking at it in general, like if you want to do this with everybody, in my opinion, that's a team sport player. When it comes to track and field, I think it's a little different because I think that probably targeting the overspeed running because it's more velocity dependent, and you don't. And the demands of what you're trying to do are totally different. So this is really for team sport athletes that are acceleration based. I think that should be done for everybody, especially in the heavy, because what it does is it helps alter basically how you transmit your force into the ground. And granted, I'm sure that foot placement and mechanics has a lot to do with it. But the thing is, if you're talking about acceleration mechanics, the sled is a great way to get somebody to learn efficient acceleration mechanics. And I'm sure that, if there was some sort of like kinematic analysis on sled sprinting, like the improvements pre and post, that would be one of the main findings, that it's about how you transmit your force in the ground and how fast you can, because you're developing strength in pretty much the ankle complex because it's so heavy and you have to overcome that and you're trying to do it at a faster rate, and it's specific strength to acceleration. But I digress. What happens is, as you strike the ground in a sprint, you're gonna have basically 3 different directions that force will go. Some of it will go up and down to support your body weight and overcome gravity. Some of it is obviously going to be going front and back because that's where you're trying to run. And then some of it's going to be going side to side. You get frontal plane activation. I'm still learning about this, so I'm not going to go into detail on the mechanics on that, just because I'm not comfortable getting into detail on that end. The book I'm reading and starting to learn about that with is Speed Strength by Joel Smith. I totally 100% recommend. But you have those 3 avenues, right? And those 3 areas that force goes. But what the sleds do is it puts you in that acceleration, basically those acceleration mechanics longer, because the sled's pulling you back and you constantly have to lean forward in order to overcome that load. So what happens is, when you take the sled off and you've been doing this for a while, now you have a better ratio between those 3 things of force becoming horizontal, going forward and back, and you get better at transmitting that force with more efficiency into the ground. So not only do you improve ground contact time and acceleration, you improve your efficiency of how the force is being transmitted to the ground, right? So if you want a little bit more information on this and kind of what I'm talking about and how to implement it, strategies for, implementation, sets and reps, maybe a little bit more theory, message me again, contact me. I'd love to hear from you and get it going on that. So have a good day.